The dark side of LA nightlife. Hi dolls, I'm Kylie, a 22-year-old trans girl, and we're gonna get right into it. The reason this video came about is recently I went to one of the more popular clubs in the LA area, and what I began to notice is all the girls there looked younger than me, a lot younger than me. I'm 22, mind you. So the fact that they're looking younger than me, it's giving weird. It's giving real weird. Later on that same night, someone referred to me and my age range as older girls. A little later in the night, a girl warned me about a guy in the club and let me know that he was known for, we'll call it trafficking, okay? If you can't decipher what that means, I'll let you figure it out. So let's get into it. All of this led me to wanting to look into a little more what's going on, what all this shady stuff is, and why it seems so weird. If you're not from the LA area, or if you're not from a big city, something important to know is that LA, like other big cities, has a serious nightclub scene. There are a ton of mainstream venues, clubs, all around the city. Small, big, large, like different levels of clubbing. I'd be willing to bet that you've seen videos from inside of an LA club before, from different influencers you like, you know, different girls you follow. I'm sure you have, different memes. It's one of the most popular nightclub scenes in the world. There are also afters events, which are after hours events, you know, in case you want to keep the party going till 6 a.m., 9 a.m. the next day. Ultimately, you really don't ever have to end the party. Something else there are is mansion parties, often organized by different party organizers and promoters. So we're going to go through these, how they play together, and what some of the weird things going on are. Let's get right into it. The first thing I want to touch on is promoters. So you open a club and you need to get people in. What you especially need to get in is girls. You want girls to come to your club because guys will buy drinks for them, and guys will come to your club and buy tables, spend thousands of dollars if they know that there's a lot of girls who are going to be there. So what you do, you know, if you're a club owner, you find promoters who are willing to get girls in. So maybe it's for every 20 girls you bring in, you get $500, you get $1,000, you know, whatever it is. I'm sure it depends on the night, it depends on how popping it is, depends on the event, depends on the venue. So these promoters, their prerogative is to get girls in the door, right? That is their job. That's how they make their money. And so you got to think about it from a business perspective. And I'm not saying I support this. This is messed up stuff. What I'm saying is you need to think about it logically. If you could get 20 girls who are 21 plus in the door, right? Great. That's what you should be doing. But these promoters, their only prerogative is to get girls through the door. So a high school girl with a fake ID, get her in. You know, young girls who are 18, 19, even younger, get them in the door. This can make their earnings go from $200 a night, medium salary, $60,000, to $1,000 a night, where suddenly they are making dramatic amounts of money. And so it wasn't in my head, and the more I researched this, the more I realized that this is true. There are certain people out here, you know, and I won't name names for the sake of my own safety, but there are certain people out here who are known for bringing in underage girls to clubs. No one can prove it because these girls have fake IDs, but apparently everyone knows it. And when I say I won't say names, I don't know names specifically, right? Like I've heard hearsay, but I haven't seen all of it directly, but this is real. Not only that, something else I've heard about is some nights different clubs will get like a new bouncer or different things, for example, who check the IDs more strictly. Now on a weekday, that is the difference between having a packed club and an almost empty club. Do you understand what I'm saying here? these clubs are filled with just young girls. It is scary. It is so scary. And you have to think, the same type of person who would try to fill a club with people who shouldn't be there, well, their moral compass is not aligned with what's best for these girls. It's aligned with what's best for my wallet. Especially with young, impressionable girls getting pulled into this nightclub scene. Suddenly you're at a table, right? And what there are wealthy men. Much of the time, what this likely means is that different girls are pulled into SW, right? SW from a young age. And we know this. This is a public thing. There are different things we know this from popular culture. We see this all the time. There's the Diddy case, the Septine. I'm changing some of it so it doesn't get censored or get me in trouble with the algorithm. So you have to decipher some of the things I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that there is this very real dark side to the club world out here that I don't see a lot of people talking about. And I think, one could say, oh, well, going out to clubs and getting a fake is so common once you're 18. Like in the UK, the age is, the drinking age is younger. So who really cares? And sure, who really cares? But I think there is a major difference between a girl going to get drinks at that age or a guy who really cares there versus full-grown adults trying to get those girls in the door at that age. Huge difference. Do you understand what I'm saying? And of course, these adults are all men. Men in their 30s, men in their 40s. I think part of what plays into this is so much of influencer culture out here is escorts. So many of the girls that you'll see online, especially girls with higher follower counts, but not super high. I'm talking mid tens of thousands to low hundreds of thousands. So many of them work in the escort business where, you'll see girls who don't have a consistent source of income, but somehow are driving, different Mercedeses or Birkins. And a lot of the time, these girls work in SW, which is not surprising, especially with the prevalence of OnlyFans and all these things. I think where it becomes dangerous is when younger girls are getting thrown into the mix among the older girls. And it's not just girls, it's also young, gay, more younger twinks and different gay guys who are gay bottoms, essentially. Not exclusively bottoms, but, more, I don't know how to say it, but prettier, more femme or just submissive gay men get pulled into this same exact thing. I think it's especially scary when you think about how prevalent, traffic is out here, and trafficking, right? If you think about how prevalent that stuff is, you got to realize who is probably the most common target, and it's probably young, impressionable girls who don't know better. And so this is all scary shit. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in the video, but even at the club the other night, a girl pulled me to the side and warned me and said, hey, watch out. That person is a known trafficker. And they don't have any evidence. I don't have any evidence, but that shit's so scary. And I don't think it gets talked about a lot at all. I think it's a major part of the business model of a lot of clubs out here. What I will say is it's definitely not all of them. It's a lot of the major ones, but it's not all of them. There are different ones that I've known that are very strict with the IDs, that are very serious about checking it. So I don't want it to sound like the LA club world is some sort of dark, grim thing. But I think there's some really scary stuff going on that no one really talks about. And I think it's really important to just bring awareness to this and to say what I've seen. I thought this would be a really long video. I guess the only other part of it that I will say is different ones of some of these influencer parties. I've gotten invited to some really cool parties, and some are different from others by far. Some are very different from others. I've gone to one where it was, it was just very casual, people just hanging out. I ran into people I randomly follow on Instagram, and it's like, oh wow, I recognize you from TikTok or whatever. And that's cool. It was super chill. There was music being played, everyone was cool, it was a great environment. I've also been to parties that are similar, but the vibe is very different. The vibe is wealthy older men, and then similarly, different girls who maybe you've seen on Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, who are just at their sides, who've never met them before. And I think there's a certain level of reading between the lines you need to do. But even at one of these parties, once a guy pulled me aside and was like, I give you $10,000 for a night, or $5,000 or something like that. And, it's really clear what he meant. And so I just think that, like, it's vital to be careful. If I'm making this video more than anything to just say what I've seen. I'm by no means an expert on this, but it's something that I'm seeing that I haven't seen anyone else talk about, and I don't know why no one's talking about it. Because it's well known. It's well known within the communities, especially with girls, and I think it's important to bring attention to these type of things. I think it's the only way we can keep girls safe. So what I will say is, if you're going to LA, and especially if you're a girl, or if you are, a little gay boy, no offense, like, love to the gays, love to the girls, love to the dolls, be careful. Be careful who you trust. Be careful who you believe. Be careful with promoters. Be careful with people inviting you to parties. Always let someone know where you're going. Share your location. Share who you're going to be with. Like, be safe out there. I can't stress this enough. Like, you got to think, this world is not always safe. Like, if you've seen what's going on in Virginia, with kids going missing, with all those scary ice cream trucks, like, this world is not always safe. And if you're a woman, you are at a much higher risk than if you're a guy. Me personally, even just going to clubbing, like West Hollywood, one of the most accepting areas for trans girls like me, for gay people, for lesbians. Once I went clubbing out there, and as I was leaving, what I was seeing was, not what I was seeing, excuse me, I lost my train of thought. Someone followed me. And this was before I had a car. And luckily I ran into some really cool girls, and I was like a group of girls and guys who seemed safe. And I was like, hey, this guy's following me, and they gave me a ride home, which I was so grateful for. But it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. And so really this is kind of just a video on what I know and what I've heard, just to say, protect yourself. There's some weird stuff going on out here. Like, don't get scared about it. I think for the most part, all the clubs I've been to have been safe. I've met different promoters. Almost all of them have been just chill guys who just do this to make money, and like with good ethics. But be careful. Be careful. I definitely expected this video to go a little longer. I always just kind of start recording and wing it a little bit. But yeah. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it if you subscribed, like the video, comment on your experience, whether in LA or somewhere else. And yeah, follow me to see more. Check out my other socials. I know this video is more intense, it's less lighthearted, but it's something that I thought was worth talking about. So I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Bye. Wrong button. Bye.